I'm here with my buddy Rocky. Isn't he a good looking dog? This is Rocky's roadmap to success. Now, I mentioned in one of the videos above, Rocky spent the first couple of years of his life tethered to a tree outside, and I don't think he was really exposed to very many people. And based on his response to men, I'm wondering if he really didn't have a lot of positive interactions with men. Sitting or laying down is a good indication. If a dog sits or lays down, they're putting themselves at a bit of a disadvantage. The dog won't do that unless they feel relaxed. So this feels good for him. Now, he's going to be tired. You see his mouth open. He's dry panting. We did a lot of work with him today. He's going to sleep well. This is a dog psychology session. I do dog behavior sessions, dog psychology. Dog behavior is all about rules and structure and discipline. This is all about helping him to be a dog. So I took him at one point for a little bit of a walk myself, and he did really well on the leash. And there are two males in the house, and he growls at one of them occasionally. One of them he growls and barks at times, especially if it's the child of the family, is between, the dog finds itself between the mother and the child. And so one of the things he likes to do is we have this kind of the main hangout room. He likes to hang out there in the hallway. I think he's on guard duty or playing a sentry role. And so that's a good indicator that he's comfortable. And so one of the things I recommend the guardians do is get a dog bed and put it basically behind where the camera is right now. It's kind of off to the side, so it's not next to the door, and it's not the guarding position. Now, when you get the dog beds, I find that Groupon's the best place to get them. They're the cheapest. I find you want to get a light gray, a white, or a light cream in color. The treats that I use are brown, so you can see that treat pretty easily with the contrast. And so I have videos on my website. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll share a video with you on how to teach the dog to go to the dog bed and give it a name. But if you put it right back there, I don't think it should take too long before he starts going to the dog bed on command. That's the first time he's taken one of those treats from me. He took the other ones that we call those crack. So if we have him have a dog bed in each room that he goes to, he knows this is my designation. This is my place to go. Now, for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status they have. He won't sit on the furniture anyways. But if he tried to, the guardians would have a rule he's not allowed to do that. But there's more rank or status here than there is down here. But there's at least a little bit more status here than where he has on the carpet right now. So also make sure there's no pattern on the dog bed. And I like to get the one that looks like a cushion like this, so there's not a lot of crevices in. Otherwise, sometimes you throw the treat in there and it gets lost in the crevice. So basically, the walk is something I'd like the family's child, he's a man, but their offspring, that I want him to start taking him for a walk on a daily basis. Dogs process things by literally moving forward, and he likes the walk. And so if we have a nice big field right across the street from the house, so if that guardian puts him on a leash, takes him out around the gazebo and comes back, when you get to the gazebo, I'd like you to go up the flight of stairs on the other side of the gazebo and just go up. And when you get to the last step, when you get all the way up, turn around and come back down a couple steps, and then stop short after about the second or third step and sit down on the steps. And then the dog will probably sit down next to you. When he's doing that, if this is the dog, I'd want you to just kind of gradually lean into him so you're touching him with your elbow or your arm. And it's pretty close, so it won't be that hard to lean. We want to get him used to you touching him, but not like touching him like this, just accidental touching. And after a while, you get more and more comfortable. Then you can actually lay your hand on his back, and you could probably start touching him. And one of the things we did was the T-touch, which is where we're going along the outline of the ear, either finger on outside and the inside of the ear with slight pressure. That's a nice soothing thing. And the guardian who's filming this is she's going to do this with the dog the most, and the dog's going to get comfortable with it. It's a nice way of distracting the dog, and it's comfortable and it's pleasurable for the dog. And so do that a couple times until he's relaxed, then get up and walk across the gazebo down to the other flight of stairs that's on the house side, and do the same thing. Stop halfway down and sit down, and then try to touch. If you can give him a treat, or even if he'll just take a treat, those are good indicators that he feels comfortable. So that's one of the things I want the guardian that he barks at to actually start having shared experiences with him, which will make them bond a little bit better. Now, the guardians were also taking some of his kibble and rubbing it between that person's hand and putting it in the bag. I'd like you to go back to doing that so that the food has a little bit of his smell on it. I'd also like that guardian to, if we can, if there are other things we can do that the dog likes to do, that you discover he likes playing fetch or whatever it is, it'd be nice if that guardian can do some of those things as well. We want to create those positive associations. And every once in a while, it wouldn't be bad if he feeds the dog. But right now, focus on you feeding the dog the way we talked about, which is structured feeding. So we're going to put food in the bowl. The dog's not allowed to eat it. The human's going to eat something in 5 or more bites. And then the human's going to invite the dog to come and eat the food. Now use that passive training we talked about in the video above. Every time he takes his first bite of food, what are your favorite dishes? Maybe you call it piccata or lasagna or whatever you want. So for 3 months, every time he takes that first bite of food, he hears the word sushi. Then after a while, sushi means I get to eat food. And remember, every time he drinks a drink of water, say agua or wine or beer or what happy hour or whatever the word is that you want to mean to do that. And because there's a little bit of heaviness, because we have a rescue dog, we feel sorry for them. And sometimes just a shroud of heavy weight that's on us. And the dogs feel energy. They're very perceptive of those sort of things. So I find that it's really helpful in all cases, but especially when a dog with fearful or dogs that have had a bad situation, is to give them funny command words. So the Guardian here, he actually used to command a submarine. How amazing is that? And so maybe we call it dive when the dog lays down. Or come up with fun words that are kind of resonate with the family or the family's friends. They're going to make people smile and laugh. Makes it a nice motivation for the dog to want to do these things. So basically, I'm trying to think the other things we want to go over. Laying on the floor would actually be a nice way to interact. The Guardian here, watching my videos, learned that if you pet the dog when it's fearful, you make it worse. I think she took that a little bit too far, and it's the first person to ever do that, and it's good. But he is, like right now, if it was uncomfortable with me petting him, I could touch and pet him. Now, I don't think he wants me to. See how I reach towards him? See how he's leaning back and turning his head to the side? That's his way of saying, I don't want you to pet me. The more that I listen to what he's saying, the more confident he is in me, because I'm paying attention. Most of us, we reach for the dog, it turns the head, we pet it anyways. So when you have guests or people around, just say, he's a rescue dog, and if he doesn't want you to pet him, he'll back up or he'll turn his head away. And you could do a really big favor if at that point you stop. That helps him feel like, yes, I can communicate with the humans, and they listen to me. So instead of being fearful and panicking, trying to squirt away, I just turn my head to the side, and they stop. I don't have to move away. And that's what we want him to do, is practice being near us. Now, one of the other things I'd like the family's kid to do is, I had these great treats, and he was sitting over really kind of where the camera was, and I was sitting up here, and I was just throwing the treats about 3/4 of the way towards him. First of all, what the dog to do is lean forward a little bit to lick up the treat, or take a half step, and usually the dog take a step and move away. Take a step and move, get the treat, move away. And just keep on repeating that until he takes a step and lingers, and for him, he did that for me pretty quickly. Then you start putting, instead of 75%, maybe you put it 65%. And gradually you're breadcrumbing him so he's getting closer and closer to you. And eventually it gets to the point where he'd come and take the treats right next to me. He wouldn't take them from me. And every once in a while I'd offer him one. And that's wonderful. So you see he's looking for it. Oh, I have him right here. I don't want to tease you. It's like, but you tease me now. So when you do that, make sure you don't do what I just did. Make sure when he does get to the point where he has it, he reaches it out and he's offering it. Now, one thing, try to avoid direct eye contact. He seemed to be off-put, and for a lot of animals, direct eye contact can be a challenge unless they love and trust you. Then it becomes like a kiss. And so I like the Guardian to practice, maybe just get about 10 or 15 treats. Now, these are big treats. They're not giant, and he's not a fat dog at all, but we're going to give him a copious amount of treats. So you want to throw the treat, so he's got to go lean towards it, and then next time I'm going to throw it there. So now he's going to lean forward a little bit further. Now, I kind of placed that one, but try to throw it. And he's relaxed. He's on the leash, but he can move away if he wants to. And he's sitting what we call side saddle. So that's to get another indicator he feels comfortable. Yeah, even more comfortable. I like that, buddy. And so the idea is one of practicing approaching that person, good things happening, and then he moves away whenever he wants to. And so maybe have him grab like about 70 of these treats, rip them in half, and just keep on tossing these. Eventually, he'll just put them right here next to him, and the dog come all the way towards him and hopefully start lingering. Now, I also talked about in the video about passive training and petting with a purpose. I think, he has low self-esteem because he really doesn't know a lot of commands. Well, passive training is what I started out that video on. That's just waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior on his own. So if every time he sits down, you pet him and say sit. Every time he lays down, pet him and say crash or whatever it is, or dive. And then after a while, you can say dive and he lays down. Then you can command him, and then you can start doing the petting with a purpose. And then every time you pet him, you're petting him for something that you like. Now, instead of having to be a guard dog to earn my keep around here, I just come and sit in front of them. That's what they like. They like it when I lay down in front of them. They like it when I go on a dog bed. They like it when I eat my food. And so now we're coming up with these positive things for him to do that makes him feel good and comfortable. I usually talk a lot about rules. I'd like the Guardian to kind of look for some rules. One of them is she's going to eat first. I'd like him eventually to sit before we let him out of the door, but right now he doesn't really have the command. So right now we're just going to not let him go through the door first. So go to the door, he's going to try to go ahead of you. Just kind of wedge yourself, put your rear end towards the door, and take a step towards the dog. And then when the dog takes a step back, take 2 steps backwards and pause. If he stays there, reach and jiggle the handle. If he starts coming forward, then you take a step back towards him as your way of saying no. And you kind of reset. Then you reach back and take a step backwards, pause, then reach and jiggle the handle. And keep doing that until you jiggle the handle and he stays there. The next step is you jiggle the handle and open it just an inch and close it. And then a couple inches, and then further and further. And then eventually you just open it and you turn and walk in front, and then he just follows behind you. And so it's a nice way to break down going through the door. Now, he also used to have problems with the doorway. And there's the way that this is an old house. And so there's like a couple of doors that are all boom, 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 boom right next to each other. And so the guardian had to actually, during the wintertime, pop them all open. Or pop them open, but during the wintertime, that became a problem. A lot of dogs have problems going through doors. If he does like the treats, just having him practice going, toss a treat out the door, then toss a treat in the door. And the door is wedged open, and you just rep and get a whole bunch of repetitions back and forth, till after a while, his muscle memory is, he crossed the threshold, it's no big deal. But basically, the more that we can create these positive associations, the more comfortable he's going to be, and the more commands or skills that we can attribute through passive training, eventually he's going to start doing them more and more often, more and more frequently. Now, the last thing, and we'll talk, and other rules that you could have, I wouldn't want him to be within 7 feet of you when you're eating food. Don't feed him people food from your table. That kind of confuses them into breaking that rule, and they know they should stay at least 7 feet away from somebody who's eating. So that's another, and helping him, because I'm guessing he follows you around the house everywhere, right? So helping him practice being a couple feet away from you is helpful in a lot of cases. In the case, again, I want him to have that tactile contact, because I just don't think he's not been loved enough, essentially. But we don't want to pet him when he's fearful, because that will amplify it. But we do want to do it, but we also want him to not be clingy, because a lot of dogs develop separation anxiety. So we want to have him practice sometimes sitting, maybe have him sitting on the bed, and you sit there, and he gets nice and relaxed, and he's almost asleep, and you get up and you come to this chair. So you're just adding a little bit of space, kind of like what we talked about in the video about the car. We're not doing the full Monty of you leaving the room. Just you come and sit here for a second. Oh, are you leaving? Are you going to stay there? Okay. And when you see his chin go down, then you can get up and go back to your chair. And you're going to elongate that as well. So again, progressively, he's going to learn that just because you're a couple more further feet away doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Right? All right, is there anything else you want me to go over in this that we talked about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you one more treat. We'll see if you take it from me. Oh, and when you're giving the treats, if you do get to the point where you can offer it off to him, don't give him that direct eye contact. Just kind of hold it like I'm doing here. Now, if he turns his head to the side, he's saying, I'm not interested in getting the treat. So we'll put it on that side so everybody can see what he looks like. Isn't he a good-looking dog? He's going to come to our puppy classes, and I think coming to our puppy classes is just being around a bunch of other people who don't try to pet him, don't try to talk to him, and drop treats occasionally. It's going to make him feel more and more comfortable about it. And that's what we like to see. You like to see him sniffing people. If he's using his nose, never try to pull him away when he's using his nose. That's how he should meet people. Now, in his case, we might need to do a follow-up session. I want to see how this goes for about a month. And we're going to comp him out to go to our puppy classes. He'll get to play with the other puppies, but also be around some humans. And it's in Bellevue, so it's close to the base, so it won't be so inconvenient. So in about a month, follow up with me and let me know how things are going. But don't wait. If you have a question 5 seconds after I leave the door, please text me or call me. All right, well, that's Rocky. And this is Rocky's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.